Have you, just like me, seen all of these dreamy 80s kind of looking videos on Instagram lately? Well, I want to make them. Alright, so we are in our project here. There's really no point in dragging it out, so I have a clip here that I'm going to drag into the timeline, and let's say I want to use like this part. So I have my clip here. It's kind of boring, but also we want the sequence to be a sequence for an Instagram reel, so we're going to do 1080 by 1920 here. And then we also want to make this at 90% because it was recorded in 4K, so I think that will be good. Okay, so the first thing to achieve this 80s look effect is going to be to do a color grade on this clip. I recorded it in S-Log, so I'm going to start off with by creating an adjustment layer that I am going to drag on top of it. And now I want to go up here to the top right corner and choose the color workspace. And I'm going to put on a lookup table or a LUT. And for this first adjustment layer, I'm going to use a S-Log to Rec 709, which is going to take the S-Log footage to Rec 709, obviously. And now I want to drag on top a second adjustment layer. And on this second adjustment layer, I'm going to do my color grading. And for this, I'm going to put on another LUT, but this one is going to be one of my own. So I'm going to use one of my own LUTs here. I have 10 of them, and they are linked down below. The first link in the description, so you can get them yourself. But I think I'm going to go with, let's see here, number 5. Let's say I like number 5. Down here we can look at the before and after if we turn off these layers, and you can see just the color grading makes a lot of a difference. But it is still quite bright, so I might go in here and just bring down the exposure a bit. And then we are going to take our adjustment layer and move them up one, so that we have a gap here. And then we are going to go to our clip. We are going to hold down Alt or Option on Mac, drag it up and make a copy of it. Now we have 2 of them, and if we turn one off, there's no difference because they are exactly the same. Click on the top one. Then we are going to go down here to effects, and we are going to search for Gaussian blur. And we are going to grab the Gaussian blur effect and drag it on top of our top layer of the 2. Go up to effect controls, scroll down, and you will see that you have your Gaussian blur effect. Now we are going to increase the blurriness by dragging this number up. And the higher you go, the more blur it's going to give to the clip. We are going to leave it at kind of low in the beginning. But as you can see here, and if we just make it a bit larger, you can see that right now the clip is just blurry. So what we are going to do now is that we are going to go up here to opacity, go down to blend mode, and we are going to choose screen. And this will blow out the clip, but don't worry, you can go to opacity and bring down the opacity to somewhere where you think the effect is starting to show nicely. So what you will see now is that the edges are starting to get this kind of glow effect. And as you can see, it kind of made the clip a little bit brighter once again, so you could go back to your color correction and do some more color correction to make sure that everything looks nice. I'm just going to leave it as it is for this video's purpose. And if you're happy with how it looks, you could leave it like this. But if you want to take the effect to another level, you could also apply something like a scratch effect or some dust or grain, just to make it look even more like an old clip. So here I have a video scratch effect. I don't need the audio, so I'm going to just take the video layer here and put it on top. And this is the wrong way around, so we're going to go to effect controls, rotation, and rotate it 90 degrees. This is going to make sure that it covers the whole screen, and I think it's, yeah. So what we want to do now is go to the effects once again, go down to opacity and change the blend mode once again. But if you think it's a bit much, which I do, you can always go to opacity and bring it down a bit. You really don't want this kind of effects to take over, you just want a little bit. That is still a bit much And there are a lot of different versions of these scratch effects and overlays. This one might not be the best. And if you're happy here, you could leave it like this, or you could add even more layers. You could add something like a light leak or film burn. So I'm going to do that. I like these. Alright, so I'm just going to add it on top and make sure that it fits, and then I'm going to change the blend mode here as well, and as usual bring down the opacity so that it looks good. I usually like to have it pretty much in the beginning. Maybe something like that. Alright, that is looking great. Let's add one last thing before we end, and that is going to be some text. So we are going to go down to let's see here, caption and graphics, create new text. And then we are going to change the font, and I highly recommend people getting this one, Bebas Noi. I really don't know how to pronounce that, but I think it's a sick one. So we're going to take that one, we are going to bring up the size quite a bit. Make sure that it is centered and center it align in the frame as well. I think that's starting to look good. We are going to uncheck the fill, check the stroke, and we are going to change that to maybe 6 pixels. And let's see, we want to bring these apart as well. And let's say we want it up here instead. And pull these like that, maybe like this. And just like that, we have a dreamy 80s look on our footage. And that is pretty much it. I hope you enjoyed this video and that you learned something. And if you enjoyed it, please consider subscribing. We are getting closer to that 1,000 subscriber mark. But with that, it's time for me to get back to work. And I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.